Number 13, we got my guy, Robert Lucci at number 13.
I consider Lucci Admiral Level.
He is the head of
The people in chat.
I think
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble.
Hello, it is Mr. Lucci's number 13 in the verse. Mr. Lucci is Admiral Level. Mr. His favorite animal is a leopard. Mr. He only likes Lucci because he looks like Lucci. It's me. Finally gonna talk in depth about this entire Lucci is Admiral Level spiel that is now blown up like crazy on TikTok. At the point of me recording this video, the original clip that blew up has over 150,000 views, and I was just recently on that One Piece talk, and those clips are starting to gain a lot of traction as well. So I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you to all the people who have actually been cordial enough to talk to me about this and actually not respect my opinion, because if you do respect my opinion, that's cool, but I know a lot of people who think my takes are super slanderous and awful and terrible. I just want to say thanks to all the people who have seen my content from this clip and decided, hey, this dude's pretty cool or whatever. And I appreciate you guys for actually coming over and checking out the channel. That really does mean a lot. Outside of that, I just want to talk about the take because so many people have been ranting to me about how trash this take is. And I had a bit of a change of thought when it comes to this type of stuff. Thanks to the guys at that One Piece talk for kind of giving me a rundown of what power scaling stuff is kind of like. But to be fair, like I said in the clips, I'm not a power scaler. But I just want to talk about this real quick, so hopefully you guys enjoy. But before I get into the actual power scaling stuff, I want to talk about something that I think is really interesting, and it's the fact that I thought I was kind of stuck with one specific stigma for a while when I was making this channel. Because before this clip popped off, I was like the Toru hater guy, which was, for people who only know One Piece watching this, which is a JoJo character. I was really stuck with that stigma of hating this character, I feel, and I felt as though nothing could really top that in a way that felt like an attribution to myself. But now, this is really fascinating because instead of me having a negative opinion, I still think people do think this is a trash take, don't get me wrong. But now it's like, I'm not a hater. And I think this is so crazy and interesting that me thinking a character is underrated is now sticking more so than me hating a character. I don't know, I think this is really interesting because usually on the internet, people who have super negative opinions of characters and people who are just hateful and negative tend to have that thing attributed to them more often, at least I feel. But having this sort of positive attribute given to me is really strange, to the point where people think I really like Lucci as a character, and I really don't. I was saying this earlier on stream, because I just finished streaming my reaction to chapter 1083, and guess what? Lucci was in it. I thought it was so fascinating because people were saying Lucci might be one of my favorite characters, or something along those lines, when in reality, Lucci's probably not even in my top 50 favorite characters in the whole series, because he's just not that compelling of a character, but I think him as a narrative device is really well done. With that out of the way, let's get into the actual power scaling stuff in this video, because I have somewhat of a better idea of how it is, but I just thought that was a really interesting thing to bring up. Now, through this discovery of power scaling and all the real levels of everything, I've realized something. There is a distinct lack between the Yonko Commander 1 characters and the Admiral level characters. And many people choose to coin this as a Warlord level character, from what I can tell. Personally, I think the idea of there being a Warlord level in the first place is utterly ridiculous. We've seen that the Warlords range from really, really amazing and insane, like Mihawk, versus characters who are actually like bums, like Gecko Moria. The greatest Warlord that the Straw Hats have ever faced against is Doflamingo, and Doflamingo was a subordinate of Kaido, who is a Yonko. So that's a Yonko level character, having a subordinate that could be a Yonko Commander character. But to what extent is he a Yonko Commander character? Is he a Jack, a King, a Queen? We don't really know, because Doflamingo is seemingly seen as weaker than King and Queen. You might even be able to argue that Doflamingo is seemingly seen as weaker than Jack, or equal to Jack, because Jack was the next big threat after Dressrosa. Jack was the menace that caused the entire havoc of devastation. Jack was the menace that caused the whole wave of devastation that occurred on Zoe while Dressrosa was going on. So you could say Doflamingo is seen as equal to Jack, but what does that mean when characters like Inuarashi and Nekomamushi are seen as equal to Jack? Not some straw hat where we can easily tell what's happening. So that has me wondering, what exactly is the level for characters that are above Yonko Commander? So I feel like having a Warlord level doesn't really make sense because all the Warlords are on different levels. So I've started to realize we need a new term that's above Yonko Commander 1 and below an Admiral. Because, let's be honest here, there's a lot of characters who are in that area. There are lots of characters in this ballpark, I would say. Many of the Warlords are a member of this area for sure, but there's characters who are super important to the world that we don't really have a full idea of where they stand in the power structure. I think the most obvious one I could think of off the top of my mind is Sabo, since Sabo is obviously a key player in the Revolutionary Army and is going to fight CP0 and Lucci, more likely than not, since he's the leader of the organization that is protecting the Celestial Dragons. So that has me thinking, if Sabo and Lucci are on similar levels, and the movies have already depicted that they have been on numerous occasions, and while the movies aren't canon, Oda tends to use the movies as a building block for what's to come in the future. Are Sabo and Lucci considered equal levels? Well, if that's the case, why is Sabo called the Flame Emperor, and being alluded to this thing being Yonko equivalent, or an Emperor equivalent? I personally don't think Sabo is going to be Yonko level. Dragon is more likely than not going to be that, because he's Dragon, and Dragon is built different, probably because Garp and Luffy are built different. So Sabo would more likely than not be Admiral level, right? Well, no, because apparently he can't be Admiral level because Admirals are this untouchable area for people, even though Green Bull pissed his pants because of Shanks. And I know that sounds like I'm being super petty to Green Bull, but everyone's petty to Green Bull because Green Bull is a racist trash ball. Now in chapter 1083, we just saw that basically all of CP9, the relevant ones at least, are now members of CP0, which was honestly really cool, but it gave us insight into how they view the power structure in this world. And they basically said the Revolutionary Commanders are doing pretty well because the Admirals aren't able to go all out. So that had me thinking, if we're saying the Revolutionary Commanders are considered commanders, meaning they're more likely than not equivalent to Yonko Commander level characters, what exactly are we alluding to other characters being represented? I still think there is this gap we need to fill between the lines of Yonko Commander 1 characters and Admiral characters, because there are many characters in the story that people consider super strong but don't really know where to place them, hence the Warlord title that I mentioned earlier. Now, here's what I'm thinking. If there is this gray area in between the Admirals and the Yonko Commanders, the Revolutionary Commanders are more likely not the Yonko Commanders. And if Sabo is above the Revolutionary Commanders but below Dragon, that would mean one of two things. He's either Admiral level, and we have to accept that Sabo is Admiral level, which could be kind of interesting since Ace fought Akainu and lost, but Sabo fighting Akainu might be equal. I don't want him to fight Akainu, by the way, I think that would be trash. But we either have to accept that Sabo is Admiral level, or Sabo is somewhere in between Admiral level and Yonko Commander level. If that is going to be a place, I think that is firmly where Lucci could lie as well. Since Lucci, I believe, could be an Admiral. Like I said, Lucci has a lot of strengths, is super devoted, and has a sense of justice, as well as an awakened devil fruit. I feel like most of the Admirals have awakening devil fruits, so I feel like Lucci has the potential to be an Admiral. However, is he? No. He is the leader of CP0, which is a super important organization in the world that's been built up for over half the story, but I feel as though this doesn't really equate to Admiral in a lot of people's eyes, because Admirals are the faces of the Marines, which is an organization that's been built up since chapter 1. And with that, I can actually understand. Hypothetically, if there was a level in between Yonko Commander 1 and Admiral, that is where I would place both Lucci and Sabo. And now, for any people who think I'm slandering Sabo, I'm really not. I'm just saying that Sabo is an incredibly strong fighter, but we don't know where he places. And I feel like people would get mad if you called Sabo Admiral level, because people are getting mad for me calling Lucci Admiral level, because Luffy bodied Lucci. But with Luffy being a Yonko, I feel like he could body so many characters in the One Piece world, it's not even funny. So, that's all I'm gonna say. I'm going to be done with this power scaling stuff for a bit because apparently I have trash power scaling taste. But if some of you agreed with me, and consider anything I said correct or want to correct me down below, let me know. Now with all that power scaling stuff out of the way and we're done talking about Lucci and everything, let me talk about something that's a lot more important, which is thanking the people who decided to spend their money and time to support this channel. And by that, I mean the Dog Pound members. It's thanks to people like you guys supporting the channel that allows me to continue doing what I love to do and giving you guys more content that for you to enjoy. We literally hit 75 earlier today, which is crazy because not even a month ago, we had 0 members. So all the love really means a lot. So I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys, and I can't wait to keep making more stuff for you to enjoy. That's going to be it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed and don't think I'm a Lucci glazer as much as you guys consider me to be in the comments. I can't wait to give you guys some more content. All I got to say is lots of people have to talk about agendas and stocks as of late, and I feel like we need to talk about that as well. So with that, hopefully you enjoy, and I hope you have a good one.